This 1966 Lambretta has been neglected for 20 years, but on this episode of Cobweb Garage, we give it a budget makeover. This week we are going to look at my Lambretta Series 3 125 Special. This definitely isn't the original colour, green, although I do really like this green. It's kind of lost a bit of its shine. I'm 99% sure it's not original. Must have been resprayed while it was still in Italy, because my friend purchased this from Western Supermare about 20 years ago, just after it had been imported. The metal work is fairly tarnished, particularly this backlight. A few little spots there where the paint's been chipped, a little bit of surface rust in places. So the only slight damage I could see on the whole scoot really is where the leg shields and the rear floorboards meet. Something's not quite straight there. Basically this scooter I've had for about 7 years, and before that a friend of mine had it in storage for about 13 years. The only thing really I had to do to it, I obviously put some new fuel in it and I set the points and a new spark plug and some engine oil. Let's whip this panel off now and you'll see some other shades of green inside here. The toolbox, air filter, well, all the engine metalwork, fuel tank, etc. is all a different shade of green, a lighter green. Maybe someone out there recognises that green. Is that a standard colour? I can't believe that someone's taken this apart and sprayed it 2 different shades of green. I would assume this was a standard colour, but look, comment below, let me know what you think. I have got a new air filter to go in there, together with a new rubber surround, because this one is really crusty. And on this side we are looking at the exhaust. Put some new paint on that, new spark plug in there, and we're going to change the oil. Screw missing from the light rim there. This thing is going to have a good clean, because as you can see everything has got 20 years of grime on it. So that'll be one of the big things to do, is give this thing a good clean. The metal work really needs some scrubbing up here. And I've never given this scooter a name, so any suggestions please comment below and let's get to work. The first job is try and get this exhaust off, and these nuts probably not been off for many years, so let's give them a good dose of a looby-dooby. Got a selection of spanners here. Let's see. Hopefully this is not too shaky for you. Oh yeah, that one's cracked off alright. Not too much torque. That one's going to come off easy. To access the other nut on the exhaust manifold, need to basically move this engine cowl forward. So there's 2 nuts, one at the top there, one under here, hopefully you can see that. Gets out quite easily, and there's one at the front. Right, I can't quite get to that second exhaust nut, so I think I'm going to have to take off this rear suspension shock, and that will allow the engine to tilt down at the front, which means I can move the engine cowl forward. Should hopefully give me access to that second exhaust nut. What a pain. I think I can get to the 2 nuts now, and I've had to loosen the clamp that holds the 2 halves of the exhaust together. So I'm going to take off this bracket, which connects to the side case here, and then with my long extension bar here, you can see that, I can just about get to this second nut. And you've got this 10mm bolt on the tailpipe. There was one more nut underneath, so hopefully now it's going to come off. Please, I don't want to take this rear floorboard off as well. I've removed one nut from the floorboard just to allow me to raise it up slightly, and finally the exhaust is free. Cool. Thank goodness for that. Well, that's the bulk of it anyway. Still got the pipe to come off. So got one side off, just this last nut, and there you go. Finally. Yeah, well, I've got a new one of those anyway. I'm going to try and get the worst of this gunk off this exhaust before I even wire brush it. Otherwise it's going to clog up my wire brush, so it's not too bad, but yeah, anyway. I've got most of the grime and grease off it. Still going to do a final degrease, but I'm just using this medium Scotch pad and giving it a good sand, getting any sort of loose paint off, and most of the rust is coming up pretty good now. It's actually in pretty good condition, it's just got surface rust on it, so yeah, definitely got some more miles left in it. Got my heat paint here, and I'm gonna give this a go. First coat. So the exhaust is looking pretty good with a fresh coat of paint. Got the heater going there, so while that's really going hard, waiting for the paint to dry, time is running out. This screw is so dirty that it's just no fun to work on. I might actually wheel it outside and give it a good hose down. Okay, anyway, let's crack on with the cleaning. I think I might try a bit of wire wool, fine wire wool, and just a bit of lubricant. See if we can get this looking a bit nicer. Just spent about 10 or 15 minutes polishing that. It is much better. It's lost the sort of greeny tinge. I'm not sure if you can see, there's a bit of a greeny tinge on the bits I haven't really done. And it definitely feels a lot smoother. I did actually try and use a bit of chrome cleaner, polish type thing. It wasn't much better than the WD-40. In fact, the WD-40, because it sort of lubricates, it's actually easier to wire brush. But it is still quite mottled. Anyone got any advice? I literally can't spend too long because it would take me hours to do all the metal work. So that's good enough for me. It looks much better than it was. Okay, I've done about as much metal cleaning as I can in the time. Spent a good probably few hours now just going around all the different bits. Some bits came out better than others. Haven't even attempted to touch the wheels. I think they're just going to take too long to do. So now I think I'm going to attempt to get rid of some of this grease, this dirt, muck. It's going to get messy, so I've got some towels down on my workbench. I do want to take it outside and jet wash it, but it's so greasy at the moment. I just want to get the worst of it off. I have got a couple of products I'm going to use to help with the degreasing. This is the main one, the gunk here, which was a bit of an old school classic, I think. So I'm going to just chuck some in a little spray bottle and spray around. I also got a bit of just some cheap degreaser as well. And I will be using an old toothbrush to get into those nooks and crannies. So yeah, remember, brush twice a day.
That first embrace, I fell right under your spell. You held me real tight, and I knew that night that we'd be together. I fell right under your spell.
I've brought her back in from her jet wash, and I've had the heater on to dry everything out. Given a quick wipe down. I mean, looking a million times better already. The gunk spray, toothbrush, jet wash has just made a massive, massive difference. I don't want any moving parts to sort of go rusty at all. So I know you must think I'm sponsored by WD-40, but I am going to go around and oil any moving part. So we'll start at the back. That's the bracket thing that holds the panels on. Got the back brake, the clutch, we've got the gear change, things also that I'm gonna want to unbolt. So this is gonna come off the spark plug. My policy is you can't put too much looby-dooby on. Also electrics, we don't want any water to get into electrics. Got the coil up there, centre stand, got the back brake there, front brakes, the speedos. I'm sure I didn't get any water up in the steering lock, but we'll give that some looby-dooby. Ignition key, electrics here as well. I did cover these up, but carb, petrol tap, centre stand, looby-dooby. Good morning, and we're back at it. I think first of all, I'm actually going to put the exhaust back on. I'll show you what I've done with the all the nuts and bolts just to keep them in order. Here's my little tray, and I know it's not that complicated, but I've just written on where everything goes. These nuts and bolts aren't in too bad a condition, so they're going to get a West Country overhaul. Brake and clutch cleaner, and we're just going to give them a good clean, bit of a wipe off, and there you go, nice clean threads. If I find any rust, I will just run them on the wire brush over there, but remarkably, none of these bolts seem to be rusted up, so yeah, that's good enough for me. Got my new copper gasket there. Let's try and get this pipe on to start with. This is the awkward bit of it. And now let's try and get the main part of this exhaust back on without scratching it to bits. Okay, I've ended up pulling this flywheel cover off because it is absolutely filthy. So I just stuck some degreaser on there, and a little bit on the flywheel itself. Just getting in there with my toothbrush again, letting that degreaser sit there for a little bit, and I'm gonna just spray it with this brake cleaner. Hopefully you can see. Comes off pretty good. Just going to spend another 10 minutes just cleaning that up, and I'll show you how it looks in a second. So I have completely rebuilt this flywheel. Well, by that I mean properly degreased it. It's not perfect, but I spent too long on it already, and it looks miles better than it did. Here's the inside of the engine cowl as well, completely degreased. Just realised these ground wires as well are completely filthy. Not sure how they had a connection there before, so I'm going to give them a good clean up. That has all taken way longer than it should have done. I'm really running out of time now. Let's knock off these service items: oil change, spark plug, air filter, just so we can cross a few things off the list. I think I showed an oil change on Odd Bod in the past. Super easy. I just put a bit of cardboard here to protect the freshly painted exhaust. To drain it, there's just this plug there, and to fill it up, it's just there. And literally when it starts spilling out of that plug there, that's when you know there's enough oil in there. So we just start by draining it out. To be honest, that oil looks like almost like new. I mean, it's been in there for quite a long time, but it's barely done any miles. I did change it, like I say, when I first got the scoot. So anyway, while it's draining out, let's change the air filter. Now, I'm not sure quite what to expect in here, but this rubber seal is crusty as you like. So not sure if you can see inside here, But good news, the inside of the airbox pretty darn clean. Pleased with that. But I am just gonna clean off this old, what's left of the rubber seal that goes around here before we fit the new one. Got most of that off, but by God, it's stuck on there. I'm not even sure what it is. I mean, it got to the point where the paint was chipping off rather than the black gunk coming off. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I've got enough of it off. I think it's going to make a good seal with the new one. So here's the old air filter, and pretty easy to change. Just got a wing nut on here. Hopefully the new one's the same. It just pulls off, it says. I don't think this has been off for quite some time. God, this stuff, I don't know what this is. This black stuff it's got on there. I mean, the rubber seal itself is just disintegrated. Look at that, crusty. This air filter does not want to come off. Unbelievable. It's opened an old wound. Literally, oh, there you go. So I don't know if you can see that, but this, I'm wondering whether someone's, have they put some sealant on it, silicone, or I'm not sure, but that is stuck. That can go in the bin. But I've got a feeling this is going to leave a right mess around here as well, for sure. Right, I'll check back with you in 10 minutes. I'm going to have to basically clean all this off in here as well. What a mess. I'm literally having to scrape this off. What on earth? Yeah. So I've literally scraped this with a scraper, a screwdriver, a Brillo pad and wire wool. Finally got it clean. I mean, you think a quick air filter change has turned into a right mess. I've actually gone for a grey one. I noticed black obviously was on there before, but I thought most of the trim here is grey, so that's what I've gone for. So I noticed this. The old one had this end cap. Well, this air filter seems to have it built in, so I guess that's right. It seems to be pretty well sealed. Okay, spark plugs. You know it's time to get serious. I've got my glasses on. So, the old one that just came out, I did put that in some time ago, and it is B8ES. The new one I've got is a B7ES. For the gaps, I've got my feeler gauge here. When they came out of the factory, they all had 0.5mm of a gap. Now, apparently you can open the gap up if you have a sort of better ignition system, etc. But mine's completely standard 6V, etc. on point still, so I'm going to set mine to 0.5. But just out of interest, the plug that was in there looks to me to be 0.6. Now I would have set that at some point. I mean, it ran fine with that. The new spark plug I got here looks to me a bit bigger, 0.7. So out of the box, that new spark plug is 0.7. So I think I'm going to go down to 0.5, which is how it came out of the factory. All right, I'm going in. Time to put the oil in. Firstly, I've cleaned up the drain plug there. Got some new washers, just pops on there. Give it a little smear of oil around there. That can go back in. Fill it up here. I've already loosened this off. Got my little funnel. I've always put this in my skewers. Rockwell ST90. And basically what we're doing is we're watching for it to come out of that hole there. Once it starts coming out of there, that's enough. Okay, so that is coming out now. I'm just going to put the plug back in. And that is the oil change done. All the service items are done. I am going to put some fresh petrol in this. I'm not sure whether I'm going to drain the old petrol or not, but I need to have a tidy up now because the workbench is a complete mess. So I'm going to just put all my tools away and have a bit of a tidy up. We're going to have an experiment at Cobweb Garage. I want to protect the patina paintwork of the scooter, and I'm not sure whether to go just put wax on it or whether to use a patina sauce. Generally it's a concoction of boiled linseed oil, this stuff. I actually put this just neat onto Oddbod, it looked great. But with the patina sauce, normally they mix that with some white spirit and some looby dooby, some penetrating oil type stuff. It's mainly the linseed oil, but you just add a bit of the other stuff. I believe the white spirit, the more you put in, maybe the duller it gets. Anyway, I'm just going to experiment. So we're going to do one panel with the patina sauce concoction, and we're going to put wax on the other panel, and we're going to see which looks better. From there, I'm going to basically do the whole scooter with it. On the left, we have patina sauce. This stuff's going on pretty easy. Putting way too much of that on there. I'm going to let that sink in. Now on this right panel, I'm going to use wax. This is just some generic spray on wax. Give us a good coat. Now with the instructions on this wax, spray directly onto surface, remove with a soft clean cloth, and buff to a hard deep gloss shine. Put way too much wax on as well. Let's go back and buff up the patina sauce. This is the panel on the left, the patina sauce, and I'm really liking, that's a really deep green. And then the panel on the right with the wax. Hopefully the camera's picking this up, but the patina sauce really gives it a deep finish. So I'm going to basically chuck some of that patina sauce over the whole scoop. Okay, I do need to wipe off the excess, but I'm probably just going to leave it overnight. With the patina sauce on, it's just made a huge difference. It will dull down obviously, and I'll probably just buff it out a bit tomorrow, wipe off any excess. But she's shining. I've now done both panels as well. Looking a lot nicer. The only thing for me now really letting it down is I didn't have time to clean up the wheel hubs. The rear wheel hub I'll probably leave until I do the brake shoes, because I can pull that off and do it on the bench. But let's have a quick 10-minute clean up of this front wheel. See if we can get it looking a little bit nicer. The corrosion on these front hubs, that's not coming off anytime soon. I scrubbed for a good quarter of an hour, made hardly any difference. Feels a bit smoother, but yeah, it's really not fantastic. So I'm going to leave that for another day. Running out of time. Literally, I've got about 5 minutes left. One final thing, I'm just going to spray a bit of tyre wax on. Never done this before, so Yeah. Makes the tyres look like new. Patina sauce is soaked in overnight, giving a quick wipe down. Still pretty shiny. So this budget makeover has only cost about 40 quid, just a fiver on some exhaust paint, plus the air filter, spark plug, oil change, and a few cleaning products. So really pleased with that. I think it looks $1,000,000 from where it was before. Comment below, let me know what you think. Next time I still have the rear brakes to do, speedo, steering lock to look at. So thanks very much. If you like what you see, subscribe, hit the like button, see us on Facebook, Instagram. See you next time.